Hey everyone, welcome back to the Runaround here on ESPN 1300, brought to you by Hollywood Sports, the only show dedicated to runners and endurance athletes. And if you want great customer service for all of your running needs, check them out at hollywoodsports.com. Once again, that's Hollywood Sports. We're here in the booth with Dr. David McDuff, sports psychiatrist, who not only works with distance runners, but also has worked with the Orioles and the Ravens. He's the author of the book, Sports Psychiatry, Strategies for Life Balance and Peak Performance. Dr. McDuff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us, what exactly do you do for athletes?
I work with them by looking at the quality of their preparation, making sure that they train like they want to compete. So we'll pay attention to the intensity of training, nutritional patterns, rehydration, injury prevention, and then we look at their race day preparation. Do they have it organized enough? Are they mentally and physically preparing themselves from the time they wake up until the time they run their race or races? And then we study the results and try to create a plan for improvement and get better and better every week, month, and year, and enjoy it while they're doing it.
Right, and running is a sport, especially distance running, where they say that the mental component is almost more important than the physical component. And there are athletes out there who put the time in, their training's going well. When it comes to race day, something seems to misfire. What's going on there?
The pressure goes up and it attacks the brain in an unkind way, and it makes you think too much, and it turns on your emotions, and it tightens up your kinetic chain, your chain of muscles, and it gets you to looking down at your legs and feet and saying, "Oh, woe is me," and you slow down.
How do you train somebody to break those patterns?
I mean, I try to get them to pay attention to the space just in front of them and learn how to breathe correctly. So that breathing and running really should be focusing on the out breath, your power part of your breathing cycle. And if you can breathe out strongly and then just let go, you're really only working on one side of the breath cycle, and it can just power you up a hill. I also like to teach how to get a breathing break into a run, a little 2 or 3 or 5 second break where you power over what the carbon dioxide, which is driving your breathing in a race, is doing, and get a 3 cycle breath break in there, which will drop your heart rate a little bit and then let you run at race pace for another 3 or 5 minutes.
And I know in my experience as a runner, the heart rate can really spike up as you're on the starting line. Is there anything in particular, in addition to these breathing techniques, that you would suggest for runners who are just seconds away from the starting gun going off?
Yeah. There's actually a breathing technique that's really simple. We just call it triple clear, where you go in through your nose and out through your mouth long, then in through your nose, out through your mouth longer, and in through your nose and out through your mouth even longer. And if you can work up in practice and go out 12 seconds, you will relax your face, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your legs, and you'll be ready to go. And if you practice that at home and then at practices, it really can help right at the race line.
Runners are like any other athlete. They go on patterns. They eat the same thing before a race. They wear the same socks during a race. Is there a way that you can train these athletes to do these breathing exercises or other types of things that maybe get them into a frame of mind where racing is not always good for them?
Well, you want to get them to pay attention to what you do at home before you go to practice. So you have to have a base of training and a range of mental skills. Breathing is just a background to allow you to do daily visualization where you see and feel yourself moving up a tough hill on a difficult part of a course. And if you just do 2 or 3 minutes of active visualization where you're sitting but you're moving your core just as if you're running, and you're in a good stride, a good rhythm, and you can hear your breath, and if you have a running partner, you're in sync. I worked with a cross-country team who termed it Wi-Fi-ing. They would just connect in with their running partner and get into a good running groove with them. I like routines and rituals, unless they distress you, but they are what prepare you to do your best and often get your mind off the concern of time, and time.
And we're talking to sports psychiatrist Dr. David McDuff, who's joining us today to talk about race day, rituals, and getting ready to be on the starting line. If you want to have a question for Dr. David McDuff here. Whether it's about racing, practice, or getting mentally ready, please give us a call, 410-481-1300. We'll give the first caller a little incentive. How about a $25 gift certificate to Hollywood Sports? So please call us, 410-481-1300. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions on what goes on in your head during race day. Please talk to Dr. McDuff here.
So, a lot of times, especially before the Olympics, we see the home Olympians. You'll always hear about them going through sports psychiatry. They're always meeting with people to really figure out how to handle that pressure of having the Olympics at home. There's got to be some kind of balance between thinking about the race and having a race plan, and then of course not thinking too much, because I would say that a lot of times as runners, and especially in at that level, you're probably just overthinking. So how would you recommend balancing the thinking about the race, in the term of having a plan and sticking to it, and then of course not overthinking to the point where you're stressed out?
Well, I think you want to do your plan development in the days before the race and not the morning or afternoon of the race. And so you have a flexible plan in case weather conditions change or competition somehow changes. But the day of the race, you want to have a quiet mind. Most people don't know that your brain actually burns 1/3 of your body's fuel, glucose. And if your thinking is on, it can burn a lot of your energy. And in the longer races, you may need that to finish strong. So quiet mind, relaxed body, then you build your energy and you start to get it to move and flow, and you find your rhythm in the race, and you just go with your competition and see where the race leads you.
Now, is that why a lot of people will wear headphones before races or before any sporting event, just to basically take their minds off of what they're going to be doing?
Well, it does actually more than that. It doesn't just take your mind off. It turns on a hearing and a rhythm circuit, which is a real, easy to turn on circuit. And if that circuit is turned on, your active thinking, worrying circuit is turned off. The way the brain is built is if one circuit's on, the other circuit goes off. Positive emotions on, negative emotions off. So self-doubt, the best way to get it off is just to put a smile on your face, listen to some uplifting music, and you're ready to go.
It's kind of like that scene in Ghostbusters 2 when the Ghostbusters have the pink slime and they have to play Your Love Is Lifting Me Higher to get the Statue of Liberty to move.
That's it exactly. That is it exactly.
So, in a nutshell.
Way to move the conversation up there.
So for the runners out there who are overthinking, think Ghostbusters 2, and think of Ryan McGrath while you're thinking about it here.
Everybody has that in their head right now, and they can see what I just said.
Yeah. Now, how about a course like Hereford? You had mentioned before that your children had run there, and they never really are a big fan of the hills. There's a lot of athletes that go to that course, and they've heard about the dip, they've heard about how difficult it is, and they've defeated themselves even before they get on the starting line. How do they get over that fear of the unknown sometimes?
I think you have to run hills to prepare for that course, and you really have to learn to pace yourself. You can look at a schematic of the course, figure out where am I going to get my pacing breaks in that course. Most people don't know that if you breathe out long, your heart rate will come down. Breathing and heart rate are connected, and if you can go out really long and overpower the breathing drive, which is from carbon dioxide, from burned sugar, from running, then you can put in strategic pacing breaks in that course and build your confidence. Of course, you could go to Bull Run and run it early before states and get some experience with it too.
Now, as children of the 60s always did this thing called transcendental meditation, where you listen to your own breathing, and it basically worked to calm you down. There's a lot of these steps that you're talking about, the same thing, maybe a different language though?
It's very similar. There's a concept we use in some of the teams that I work with called recovery stretching, where instead of working a muscle to stretch it after a run, you let gravity stretch the muscle, and you go for a much longer period of time. You stretch each muscle group 3 minutes or more, and it turns into a meditative type of stretch, where you're not pulling the muscle, you're just letting gravity do its thing, and you breathe through the muscle. So you feel the stretch in the muscle, and you know, breathe in through the nose and then out long, and just breathe right through that muscle, let all the other muscles relax. 20-25 minutes, which is a long time for an individual or a team to stretch. They never do it that long, but if you do this, you'll just find your recovery, both from a muscular and a mental and physical point of view, are better.
Go ahead.
You've laid out a 5-step plan in front of us here that's something that's focused on track and field athletes. Can you kind of describe what this 5-step plan is in a nutshell?
Well, the first part is life balance, and here you focus on quality sleep. Most high schoolers don't get enough sleep. You need about 6 hours minimum to wake up with about 80% of the energy you need for the next day. If you go to 7, 8, even better, you get 90%. And it's what you do upon awakening, that first 30 to 45 minutes. Do something to wake yourself up. Little 60-second cardio sets, a few of them. Put some nutrition in. Be a breakfast eater. Take a cold shower, a hot shower. Go out, find the sun. Breathe deeply. And when you get your energy up, you can use it all day long. But if you miss that window in the morning, and there we also talk about the importance of nutrition. Step 2 is really about fitness training, stretch, flexibility, power, speed, so all of that. Technical training in sports, that gets all the emphasis. The mental, step 4, and the emotional, step 5, which don't get enough emphasis. And my book and other books on sports psychology really speak to the importance of this.
A lot of road racers usually do their workouts after work, 5, 6 o'clock at night. Now on race day, they usually have to run their races starting at 8 o'clock in the morning when they're not stretched or not prepared. Besides maybe getting up early during the week and stretching and getting a little bit ready for that, how can they mentally prepare themselves for that type of race?
I mean, I think they could wake up 5 to 7 minutes earlier in the morning and put in some sort of power cardio routine where they do 60-second cardio sets and get their heart rate up in the morning just to replicate the pattern that's going to happen when they race, at the beginning of the day.
In my college running career, we called it the AM shakeout. And especially when we had ACC championships, a race that went off at 9 in the morning, we were up at 5:30. At a time you really want to still be under the covers and in bed. It was so important to get out and engage those muscles, go out for a light jog, do some stretching, and it really does make a difference. So it is about engaging the muscles in the morning. So Dr. McDuff, people want to talk to you further about this, whether it's about race day routines or getting ready mentally for a race. How can they reach you?
They can go on my website, which is www.mdsports.net, and my email's on there, my cell phone's on there. You can give me a call or send me an email. I like to chat with people. I'm a committed supporter of running and athletes in every sport, so I'm ready to talk.
So we'll put that information on runningmaryland.com. And my favorite part about this conversation was learning how much the brain can really use your glucose store. I mean, really, turn your brain off. Just go out there and run. It's really what Dr. McDuff said.
It's something you're used to.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
You know what? We'll come back after the break and we'll talk about this. But anyway, coming up, we're going to be talking to Luke Harvey, the guy who started Mo Farah running away from things. Now, it may sound silly, but really, if you want a good laugh, check it out. Mo Farah running away from things.tumblr.com. We're going to talk to him, our first international guest from merry old England. So all that and more coming up. This is the Runaround on ESPN 1300.